Hello and welcome back to my channel, and thanks for joining me with my Delving Deeper solo campaign. This is episode 2. I've entitled it Setup and Launch. In this episode, we are going to be running through the setup steps for the campaign. But before this, maybe some key points about the series. It's not going to be that original, and I say this up front. This is a comfort campaign, and I make no apology for this. So I'm relying on standard tropes and concepts. But hopefully this will be brought together in an interesting and entertaining way. So what it maybe lacks in originality, hopefully make up with entertainment. And as I've said, I wanted this as a kind of blanket, a nice warm blanket that you can cuddle up under and have a nice cup of tea and just enjoy yourself, unwind. The rulings will be employed, and I am not going to be a stickler for the rules, so it's going to be on this philosophy of rulings rather than rules. I want some flexibility to make interpretations and use my own house rules. The playing style is going to be a mix of random and pre-generated methods and mechanics, and will depend on context, how appropriate the situation is, and how I'm feeling at the time. So it's really, I'm really coming in, if the closest thing you can come to a laid back attitude on my channel. So the idea of this campaign is just about pure enjoyment, going with the flow, and just seeing where this takes us. Some examples of how I'm going to be approaching this game. In terms of the random approach side, if I want a hex crawl with random generation for an uncharted area, the mechanics in Delving Deeper will be deployed, and this does have some very basic rules for in the wilderness area for generating, the seafaring, but for the wilderness, you can generate some wilderness exploration in pages 60 to 61, and this gives you some very basic rules for basically doing a kind of sandbox type style adventure. If I want a random dungeon, I will use the strategic review guidelines produced by Gary Gygax, and I think the year was 1976 for the strategic review, and this had very few publications. I think it stopped after a while and became the Dragon magazine, but he had, as a preamble to the wonderful, I'll just get it before us, the wonderful Appendix A in the Dungeon Master's Guide. He had something that looked very similar to that. It must have been more refined when it went into the Appendix A, but I'll be using that. And I also employ tailored dressing, atmosphere, thematic influences in situations. So I will have, as I do it in some of my other campaigns, little tables for specific dressing or specific atmosphere, tailored to the specific venue or location or situation, and hopefully that will enrich the experience. And also, hand in hand with that, I'm going to have a pre-generated approach too. So if I want to run a design dungeon complex, this will be employed using a hybrid random method or a narrative run through, just purely designed, and I just have a narrative run through, and I will have the character interactions provide the friction factor, the unpredictability, and hence hopefully the entertainment that emanates from that situation. If I want some designed adversaries or NPCs or a new character, I could have a pre-generated approach. And when it comes to world lore and cultures and religion, again, I will have a pre-generated approach. And what I'm going to do at the start of this is it's going to be heavily pre-generated. So I do already have a world that I have created in my head, and I've jotted down some facts about it. And also when it comes to the characters, my first batch of characters, I'm not going to randomly generate them. I am going to, not going to generate them on screen. I am going to pre-generate them myself and select them. And they are, for this first adventure group, I've decided to go down that line, which actually bucks the trend on any of my other campaigns, because I've always created on camera and gone through quite a process, some more than others, depending on the rule set. But I'm going to have some pre-cooked characters that I'm going to present, and they will grow and become individuals as we start to roleplay with them. So quite a bit of a departure. Let's see how that works out. I've got a bit of a method of introducing them to the channel, so hopefully that will be of interest. So the campaign, a launch sequence. It sounds like the countdown at Cape Canaveral. Introduction to the setting I'm going to do first, and I have a very basic world map, and I'm going to employ a helicopter style narration. So I will be pointing to areas on this world map, which I can back up with a bit of narrative, so that we get a kind of feel for what this swords and sorcery world is like and where the characters are going to be placed. I'm going to do an introduction to our characters and I have them performing a meeting sequence. So I'm going to have little resumes of each character, give you an idea of who they are, and then I'm going to get them meet each other in turn and introduce themselves to each other, and give a rationale why they have, for some reason, met at this point in this world. And I will introduce and commence scenario 1 to get us off and running. And I think I'll just be at that point, because there is quite a lot in this actual list of things to do based on this itinerary. I don't think I'll get actually into any adventuring. So this is, as I said, is more setup and launch. But I will give an idea of what this first scenario is going to be. So that being said, let us do our first thing on the list, which is introduction to the setting, the world map with a helicopter style narration. And I have a very basic, I just thought I wanted a peninsula, and I've got this very, very basic, I haven't even coloured it in yet, and put little mountains and all that kind of forests and stuff, which I'm going to do. But I thought what I wanted to do was, let's make sure that that's all in the camera. Just see, there's some islands down there. This can come in. What I wanted to do was make sure that I had some regions outlined, more for the point of view of kind of just giving some geographical sense to where things are. And then what I'm going to do afterwards is fill in the details and create hopefully an attractive map that's it's all coloured. It's got little symbols on it. And I've entitled this The World of Valkara. So if you are sitting comfortably, I shall continue, and I'll just make sure that's over here. And I have a little bit of a narration that I can do, and hopefully you'll get an idea of what this world is like. So, at the edge of the world, where the oceans fall into mist, rises the harsh and mythical peninsula of Valkara. A land fractured by ancient calamity, its bones laid bare in red canyons and blasted hillsides. A land ruled not by kings or empires, but by the sword, by sorcery, and by the unquiet legacies of forgotten ages. The northern reaches. To the north lie the Woden Highlands, jagged peaks dusted with frost even in summer, where barbarian clans carved their law into stone and blood. Wolves stalk the forests and giants stride in the misted passes. The people here are hard, proud, shaped by storms and by war. So here are the northern reaches up here. The Redstone Uplands, this region here. South of the highlands stretch the Redstone Uplands, a labyrinth of scarlet mesas, cracked ravines, and ancient cairns. The earth here is restless, veined with hidden fire, haunted by ruins whose builders vanished long before written memory. Tribes wander the canyons, reading omens in flame and ash. Their priests speak of spirits that slumber beneath the stone and wake only to hunger. So that's this region here as we progress south. The bright desert, that's to the east here. Beyond the uplands spreads the great desert, a sea of gold and white sand where nomads travel by starlight and caravans vanish beneath creeping dunes. Here, lost cities lie half buried, glimpsed only when the desert chooses to surrender them. Bandits and spirits of smoke and heat make their homes beneath the burning sky. So we have some barbarian northern reaches. We have these Mesa area here, the Redstone Highlands. We have this desert. We've got all the ingredients for some crazy geography, but this is swords and sorcery, fantasy, so we can get away with it. What about the city-states? So, along Valkara's coasts rise the proud, treacherous city-states. Ashura, and that is Ashura here, with its shining towers and libraries of forbidden lore. Its wealth flows from sea trade, slave markets, and exotic goods from distant lands. So this is one of the largest cities in the peninsula, Ashura. It's wealthy. It has quite a cosmopolitan atmosphere. It deals in a lot of the trade of the peninsula. Kirith, which is this city here, fortress city of black stone and iron gates, ruled by a martial senate which aspires to conquer the peninsula and enslave the tribes. So this is a militaristic, aggressive player in this peninsula. You always have to have one. We've got our aggressive one. It is Kirith. Thylos, which is this city over here. Perfumed jewel of the south. Its markets thrumming with secrets bought in coin or blood. Ruled by priest kings who claim descent from serpent gods. Yes, a bit of probably a haven of corruption. All that, absolutely perfect swords and sorcery tropes. We're going to kind of lavish that on. And in summary, these cities gleam with civilization, yet their courts swarm with assassins, their temples hide ancient pacts, and their rulers walk ever on the edge of war. Right. So those are the major centers of civilization, few and far between, and even, in comparison to our civilization, quite savage. So let us carry on. The Broken Coast and the Black Isles. So this is the Broken Coast down here and the Black Isles down here. Off the southern coast, black reefs rise like fangs, luring ships to wreck upon the jagged stones. Beyond them lie the Black Isles, where renegades, exiles, and freebooters forge their own savage kingdoms. Their fleets strike without warning, bearing plundered silver, stolen sorcery, and captives destined for darker fates. So what self-respecting swords and sorcery world would be complete without some pirates? So we've got them, some buccaneers, some pirate kingdoms. They are in the Black Isles. And another trope from swords and sorcery, a jungle crawling with all sorts of creatures, the Amaranth jungle. And here, where the peninsula sinks into steaming green, lies the Amaranth jungle, a vast, breathing world of dense forests. Tribes wander its shadowed depths, guided by spirit chants older than any city of men. Great apes, serpent lions, and jewel-feathered raptors move through the emerald gloom. The jungle stands as Valkara's wild, untamed heart, beautiful, perilous, and now quietly stirring. So there is something stirring in the jungle. What could it be? The Wilds Between. Now, this is quite an original name. I couldn't really think of anything in the meantime. I'm sure I will come up with something. Between these lands lie smaller realms, marshes where the lizard tribes keep primordial rites, and wind-lashed steppes roamed by horse lords. So basically marshes here and steppe lands here, probably forests and whatever. What of the elder races? Well, elves still walk Valkara, but not the gentle folk of children's tales. They are strange, fey-touched wanderers, aloof, beautiful, and perilous, keepers of secrets older than humanity. Dwarves remain too, grim survivors of shattered mountain holds, hoarding grudges as zealously as they hoard gold. Even halflings, rare and uncanny in this land, live in hidden enclaves, masters of stealth, folklore, and unexpected courage. So I'm going to have a real swords and sorcery slant on these non-humans, these demi-humans, and they're not going to be our Tolkien-esque types. They're going to be quite different, quite alien. The elves are going to be very otherworldly. The dwarves are going to be almost like carved from stone. And the halflings are probably just, there's not much you can really do to halflings, but I'm going to maybe make them a bit more mysterious, a bit more, not as friendly as hobbits, quite a bit more insular and resilient too, I would say. The central truth. Across Valkara, one truth binds all lands and peoples. Power belongs to the bold, and the weak are devoured. Yes, this sounds like Conan speaking. Sorcery is feared and coveted. Steel is the final arbiter of justice. Fortune is fickle. Glory is fleeting, and in every shadowed ruin or forgotten tomb, something ancient awaits to be awakened. Yes. The coming shadow. What other dimension, pray? Tell us, Brian. The coming shadow. But what stirs now? In every corner of Valkara, whispers grow louder, of scaled priests, of ancient rites reborn, of a power that seeks to coil around the whole peninsula. The serpent cult was broken centuries ago, but the serpent never truly dies. It sheds its skin, it waits, it grows. Ooh, yes, that is what is hanging over this world, a revival of a serpent cult. You know, analog set of the Conan. I'm going to be drawing an awful lot on Conan the Barbarian and all that good stuff, but why not? You know, plunder it, raid it, reskin it, represent it. It's all going to be on this in this campaign. So we are at that point where I can do my character summaries. So as I've said, I will hopefully I've got all the geographical areas you'd expect in the Swords and Sorcery game. If anybody's got any suggestions for anything else, you know, there's a lot of scope for other things. You know, the Wilds Between, I could have all sorts of stuff in there. The Northern Reaches, I could have other things. You know, maybe some, you know, ice mountains and that type of thing. And down here, the Black Isles and the Broken Coast is a big area that I can develop. If anybody has a little pet area that they want to have represented, I am quite happy to do that and have a bit of a cooperative type world system. And I am going to embellish this with my symbols and some colour to give it, make it pop, bring it to life. Okay, so that's phase one done. That's good. What about the character summaries? So let's zoom into one of these regions now and introduce ourselves to the characters in the party. Right, so what region are we going to zoom into? And so we come to a lonely stretch of the Redstone Uplands. So here we are, the Redstone Uplands. In fact, that is a mistake. That should be, instead of Highlands, it should be Uplands. I will just correct that. This is real-time stuff. Redstone Uplands. Get the cartographer is slacking a bit. Where 5 wanderers converge, each driven by their own purpose. So, a barbarian forged by the unforgiving north. A desert cleric who hears the whispers of the flame. A cunning thief from the shining city of Ashura. An elf bearing the eerie grace of the near fae. And a young sorceress whose stolen secrets may shape the fate of realms. My word. What a group. Their meeting will set in motion a saga of blood, sorcery, and ancient power. This is Valkara, where every step may carve your legend or claim your life. So, as I've said, I'm going to use some pre-generated characters and start with a party of 5 PCs. I am going to take this opportunity to introduce you to my, I've got my pawns lined up. I'm going to be using these colors to denote my individual characters. In fact, I will put them over here so that they are in sight. And in turn, I am going to introduce the channel, introduce the campaign to each of these characters, who I have an outline of just now, and I will generate the stats for the next episode and give you a brief overview. But it's quite nice to maybe get a bit of a profile of each of these individuals just now, so that you have an idea who is going to be in our party. So the first of the characters is an individual called Adric Varos. He is a human fighter, and he is from the region of the Woden Highlands, which is up here in the Northern Realms. And the Woden Highlands is a northern Cimmerian style frontier. So it's basically where Conan comes from. It's that kind of place. It's easy to visualize. I don't really need to explain it too much. His role in the party, he's going to be a frontline muscle, survival expert, and monster killer. His appearance, he's tall, he's broad-shouldered, tattoos across arms and chest, rough high cloak, storm grey eyes. Yes, all the tropes of Conan-esque barbarian. He will be probably our leader. His personality, taciturn, intense, loyal only to those who prove their worth in battle, hates sorcery but tolerates useful magic. His clan ancestral cairn was recently desecrated by a red-robed cult. He hunts the source of the corruption. Rumours point to the Redstone Uplands. Yes, and that is the reason he is in the Redstone Uplands. He is desecration of his ancestral cairn. He has been sent by his clan. He is on a mission. So he's not happy. So you don't want to get a barbarian in a bad mood. He is furious. So let us move on to our next character. This is Kaleen Ashmantle, a human cleric. And he is the Ember Priest of the Wandering Flame, and that is effectively his title. He is from the region that we are in just now of the Redstone Uplands. So here, his role is spiritual guide and healer. His appearance, he's a lean, desert-hardened nomad, ash-smeared hands, carries a carved obsidian flame idol. Yes, very shamanistic, quite a tribal cleric. None of this medieval, get your plate mail on. Got a cross, a red cross and all that stuff. Forget it. That's not this world. That's some other place. This is all about really kind of quite savage, cult-like and temple stuff, and is very intense from that point of view. There's people really believe these things. It's all about blood sacrifice and rituals and quite strange practices. Kaelin will be symbolizing that type of cleric. His personality, he's calm, he's wary and philosophical. He believes fire is both purifier and destroyer. So his whole gig, his whole raison d'etre is about this wandering flame and his belief in these kind of elemental forces, particularly fire, and his belief that he can control this type of thing. So he received a vision of an ancient ember spirit trapped beneath a forgotten ruin. It whispered, "Free me, or the uplands will choke on blood." So that is the reason he is here. He is on a mission to free whatever whispered that message in his dreams. Right, 2 down, 3 to go. Our next individual is called, and I'll use my silver token, silver pawn for that, Lorien Shadowstep, a human thief. He's from, his region is Ashura, the cosmopolitan city-state that we first mentioned in our map. So Ashura's here. So not too far away. He's not had to come too far. His role will be scout, infiltrator, trap expert, and urban interpreter if we ever get to a city, if we survive. His appearance, he's slim but wiry, neatly dressed in dark leathers, carries a satchel of elegant thieves' tools, and educated accent. So he's quite the gentleman thief. He's quite... in fact, when we find his personality, he's clever, he's sardonic, he's risk-averse in the wild, but bold in cities. A realist amongst idealists. Although I don't know if you'll find too many idealists in our party. His patron, a merchant prince of Ashura, believes an uplands ruin holds a relic that will shift trade power. Lorien must retrieve it quietly or die trying. So he's on a bit of a mission for his master. That is his agenda. And you'll find that each of the characters do have a little bit of an agenda why they are here. Next, Valeth, an elf. And she is from, so we have 3 males here. We've had Adric, our barbarian, he's a male. Kaelin, our cleric, he's a male, and Lorien, our thief, he's a male. We now have Valeth, she is a female elf, and she's from the forests of Nail Alarian, the half-seen realm between mortal and fae. And her role will be arcane support, scout, diplomat, and she'll provide what I call an eerie presence. Appearance, pale bronze skin, silver hair, eyes like moonlit water, moves with uncanny grace. So very fae, quite a classic elf look, but behavior-wise, maybe not quite the same. Her personality, alien, curious, amused by mortals, speaks in riddles, terrifying when angered. Ooh, right. So don't get Valeth angry. She could get a bit terrifying. A prophecy warned of a red obelisk awakening beneath the uplands. She seeks it, not to destroy it, but to learn its truth. So, she is interested. She's had this prophecy given by her elf masters. She is following the guidance that she has got. She wants to learn its truth, this red obelisk, discover it, and see what she can learn from it. So that is Valeth. We'll put her to one side. And last but not least, Ceressa Valmoran, a human magic user, and she is from, she's from Ashura, that city on the coast. So we have 2 from here. We have one from here, and we have one from here, and probably in this region, the wilds between, is where the elf is from. Ashura, whose sapphire quarter is famed for scholars, astrologers, alchemists, librarians, and the veiled sorcery houses. Unlike the tightly controlled temple mages, she trained under a renegade tutor who taught her the forbidden roots of the arcane arts. Appearance, she's tall, she's poised, with jet black hair, sharp desert blue eyes, robes stained with the blue ink and smoky alchemical burns. She wears a small silver circlet etched with arcane sigils. So she really looks the part of a magic user. Is she is she going to live up to her appearance? I do not doubt it. Appearance, personality. Sorry, she's brilliant. She's ambitious. She's dangerously curious. Cool, elegant poise. She is quite a sight. So I think she's going to add a lot of quite a bit of satire, a bit of irony and satire, and she's going to be quite acidic in her attitude, probably to some of the other less civilized characters. She'll probably get on at House and Fire with Lorien. They'll probably be doing quite a bit of sparring, so that'll be interesting to see how they all mesh. Her master turned rival seized a rare page of the Onyx Lexicon, a text said to describe how the earliest sorcerers channeled raw earth energy. She stole the page back and followed a reference to the bleeding veins beneath the redstone. What does this mean? The city-state's magical authorities now consider her a fugitive scholar, dabbling in forbidden lore. Oh dear, she's been shunned. The sun is sinking behind the shattered messes of the redstone uplands, staining the world crimson. Wind howls across knife-edged ridges, carrying dust and the faint smell of iron. So that is the setting. That is the setup of these characters. They're all here in this. Would you believe it? In almost the same spot, they have all converged for different reasons. Surely this really, what a plot contrivance. But yes, it has to be done. So our characters' first meeting. And let us take our barbarian. The barbarian. And what I'll do is I'll just have these in frame here and do a kind of little, almost a bit of role-playing for these characters. The barbarian stands alone at a cliff's edge, scanning the canyons below. His clan's cairn was desecrated days ago. He has tackled the spur of cult sign to this very... he has tracked the spur of cult sign to this very plateau. So he's been following some tracks. He has reached this point. The wind brings movement. A lone nomad approaches, wrapped in a dusty mantle. His staff glows faintly with ember runes. He pauses near Adric, examining the red stone. Kaelin speaks. The land is wounded here. Fire sleeps below. Adric grunts. He does not trust priests, but all in the uplands know their visions often prove true. Moments later, a dusty figure climbs from a narrow crevice. A traveller from Ashura. He adjusts his cloak, flicks sand from his boots, and forces a polite smile. Lorien says, I hope neither of you claim this canyon. I'm just passing through on business. He doesn't mention he's following a rumor of a powerful relic hidden in these ruins. Adric narrows his eyes. Kaelin nods, sensing truth, but also secrets. The wind shifts. A silver-haired elf steps silently from behind a monolith, though no one saw her climb. Her eyes glow faintly in the dying light. Valith says, You are all out of place. Something stirs beneath the stone, and it has an old hunger. Adric, he grips his axe. Lorien swears softly. Kaelin bows his head. Last comes a woman in sapphire-dyed robes, clutching a silver-etched satchel. Her voice is confident, cutting through the wind. Ceressa says, "Good, you found it too. The veins run somewhere beneath these messes, and I intend to see them first." Adric, he bristles. Valeth raises an eyebrow. Another sorceress? Lorien sighs. Kaelin feels destiny tightening his grip. The ground trembles. I do a bit of shaking. From a crack in the canyon, a pillar of red light surges skyward. Something beneath the earth awakens. The five exchange looks. For different reasons, driven by different ambitions, they all step forward toward the canyon. They all step toward the canyon mouth together. So that is an unlikely meeting, but they've all converged at the same point. Will they form a close, tight party? I have no doubt that they will. I've had to use a bit of a plot contrivance to get them all together, but I have at the back of my mind all the different motivations, how their personalities work. We're going to hopefully have some fun with these characters in the danger of the next scenario. What an environment to form some friendships. Will they trust each other by the end? Let us find out. So, next episode, I'm going to show the character sheets and the equipment that I've chosen. I'm probably going to use some equipment packs. It's a very simple process to generate characters. This book here, the character process, is very straightforward. There's very few things I need to note down. A few things like saving throws, prime requisites, experience, how you generate that, and a few bonuses that you get for some of your requisites. I'll have that all jotted down and hopefully get them all on one piece of paper. And then, as I've said, probably select some equipment packs so that they are ready to go. And then we will descend into the canyon and play through the first adventure. There is going to be one house rule that I'm going to apply at the start. This game is deadly, and I have just introduced these characters to you. I am going to give them a bit of a chance at the start. I am going to give each of them what I call a fate token. So as the game is lethal and we might want to form some attachment to our new characters, I'm going to employ an initial fate token for each of them. This can be employed if a character dies or is facing a death situation, and I will on the spot adjudicate a little scenario to see if something extraordinary happens which saves them. Note, this is not guaranteed. So I'm not just going to let them, live. That's fine. I played my fate token. I can get away with it. If certainly if they die unfairly, or what I view as being unfairly, or if they have maybe a noble death, that has to be sung in the song, so they will die. But say they maybe they got poisoned or something, I will play the fate token and I will still have a chance that maybe they can survive the poison. Something, maybe a miraculous happens, maybe one of the gods intervene with the cleric, or the elf discovers how they can use some arcane powers, or our barbarian can use some wood lore, that type of thing, or even our magic user has some knowledge that can be employed in the situation. Our wily thief might have some cunning plan to get us out, extricate and save a character. I will, on the spot, I will generate something that will be of interest, and won't be too not a giveaway. I don't want that in this, but I would just want a wee bit of maybe a slight insurance policy that the characters aren't all going to be wiped out in the first encounter. Okay, I think I have covered everything. I'm going to get this presented in a better fashion. I'll have my characters all lined up. And I enjoyed having a chance to introduce these characters to you. I hope you are on board with the makeup. I was trying to go for your classic spread of characters and have at least one of every class, plus having maybe a non-human in the form of an elf. So, hopefully that will be a good mix that we have when it comes to adventuring. Okay, I think I've done everything I want to do today. The next episode will focus on our first adventure. We are progressing into the canyon. What will we discover? Thanks for joining me, and I will see you next time.